Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Benjamin Zulu Show, a show where we get wisdom from one Benjamin Zulu. Now, Benjamin has always told us that it is either we are happily single or happily married. All right? And always learn to compare the relationship you are with from your previous single state. Okay? Now, there is always a good feeling to know that someone, somebody, somewhere cares for you, cherishes you, and whatever happens to you, you have actually somewhere to lean on. But at times, things happen, and you'll find that you don't get along as anticipated. And in some cases, we have always been told, if it is not working, get out, okay? But now, getting out might not be as easy as we put it. Why? Because to a certain level, maybe children are involved. How do you handle that situation? How do you get out of that unhealthy marriage, unhealthy relationship when children are involved? That is our discussion today. Hey, Benjamin.
Hello, and you know, children is a very emotional subject. Children is a very topic. When there is a child, we always want to be sensitive.
Yeah.
And our instinct is to avoid exposing them to pain. Mm-hmm. So you do not initiate. We're not saying today people should initiate, should bring up the topic. No, I decided I don't want this. Mm-hmm. Once you get a child, you're committed, my friend. Yeah. There's a degree of commitment once you get a child. Can we start by establishing that you can't just be flighty, flimsy, because you had another whim, another feeling that you don't understand, you jump to the next. Many children are being damaged by people who did not change their mindset when they got a child. Mm-hmm. They kept hopping from one relationship, one marriage to another, one man, one woman to another, and yet there's a child. Yeah. They disorient the child so badly that the child will take very long to recover. Mm-hmm. Let's start by saying that getting a child means you've lost many rights. One right of being selfish. Mm-hmm. You've lost the right to say, it's all about me, this is my life, nobody can no, wait. You can say that when you are single. If you want always to be about you, remain alone. Don't get a child. If you get a child, you can no longer say, it's just about me. So another woman on TV saying, I'm 50-something, my commercial sex work, I have children. Brother, you don't talk like that when you have children. Mm-hmm. True. You don't advertise prostitution, selling your body for money when you have children. You want some lifestyles, please forget parenting. There's something sacred, there's something godlike in bringing up a child that requires you mature, you force your mind to stabilize, because there's a young life that is depending on you for guidance in this world. And Brahma will say the other day, even if you marry a person who has a child, now assume that's your biological child. For as far as possible, forget the barrier and connect to the child. As long as they're still a child. Some are grown, they have their own opinions, but you're talking about these children. Once there's a baby, Brahma, your mobility, your decisions, your way of thinking must change. Why? This child will always affect you. You can pretend that you don't care, but if your child is not faring well, you will feel it. You will feel it, my friend. If your child is not faring well, if your child is crying, if your child is out there, you must have killed your conscience not to care how your child is faring. So we're asking you to think about your child for your own mental peace. Mm-hmm. You will never have peace of mind when your child is in trouble, when your child is in hospital, in drugs, when your child is in trouble, prison, when your child is always stressed, can't settle, can't keep a job, can't get along with anyone, can't. Man, there was a grisly spectacle. I saw a thief was being beaten up by people, and the mother saw a woman there crying. I think he had been beaten, I think he had died or something. And I could see the woman, the grief, man, the trauma, man. I've never forgotten the picture. That's why I'd said, being a parent is a lifelong assignment. Yeah. So if you are out there and your relationship is troublesome and you have a child, start by agreeing that you must factor that child in all your decisions. You cannot just wake up and run away. Remember, I told you the sorry state that many children in rescue homes and children homes have parents. They just abandoned them. Mm-hmm. You can't afford to abandon a child to the streets, to out there, to the cold. Some die. Some don't even get those rescuers. Some are in those, and you are living. You know you have a condemnation and a case to answer before God. You had a choice not to get a child. And even if the child got without your will, you are not planning it. Once the child arrives and you're here and you decided, I don't want to abort this child, I want to kill this. If the child is here, organize your life. And you will find the grace. Let's announce to everybody who is afraid. If I get out and I only have the children, I don't have anybody, what will I eat? God will give you grace. Yeah. You will not be lazy. But Brahma, can I tell you, I have many stories of women who told me, I would get out and I was looking for clothes, to wash clothes. Yeah. These jobs, these odd jobs. And because I have children to feed at home, I'll tell God, for the sake of my children, give me jobs. She tells me, I always got them. As long as I'm not lazy, as long as I'm not entitled, I'm not doing work in a shoddy manner. Brahma, even today we feel something. When you see a woman who has a child and she's trying to work, not just to beg, she's trying to work, you will assist her to get the work. Yeah. These small jobs, this shop tell you, I want to do something so that I can feed my child. Sometimes you appreciate two things. You are not too dependent and lazy to come just begging. What you are doing is you are saying, I would like to do something, get paid. Mm-hmm. In fact, many day comes, all those house helps who come, domestic assistants who don't stay with you. Are you aware that many people have told you there's an advantage of getting a mature woman who has children? She's leading her life to be coming and going. Mm-hmm. In the domestic workers market, that's a preferred arrangement. Yeah. She doesn't live with you, but she has her own family. Mm-hmm. That gives you stability. These other kids, these other young ones are very unstable. They can take a Eldoret Express. They were here today, tomorrow they're in Eldoret. So I'm told these mothers who are needy, they have their own children, but they needed this kind of jobs to survive and feed their children. They are easier to work with. Mm-hmm. They come in the morning and they tell me those women can be stable over many years. Yeah. She has organized her life. She can actually work for 2 families. She can babysit for the kid for at least one, and they babysit there. Those who have a mindset to raise their kids have a mother's heart. Mm-hmm. Even those who work with them feel good to assist them. And many of them are more keen to learn because there's a child they need to feed. Mm-hmm. Are we together? Mm-hmm. The washing machine is a modern thing. Some of these women may not have, but you teach her and she learns how to use it. You shall, I put here, yes, and I put there. I've been told stories that moved my heart. Mm-hmm. Now, so we are starting by saying, when you get a child, you must think as a father now. I've met many men who are responsible. Now, how then shall you consider if the relationship is not working? And how shall you know whether we need to break up, although there's a child? Mm-hmm. Number one, if the level of stress between you and the partner is affecting the child emotionally, mentally, physically, if it's disorienting the child, the conflict between the two of you, if it's hurting the child, if there's verbal exchange, frequent verbal exchange. Brahma, I don't want you to ever get into a verbal exchange with a woman for all your life. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you a higher calling. Yeah. Verbal exchanges are immature, mm-hmm. and they solve nothing. Nobody is listening. Everybody is just talking. Yeah. They get you nowhere. It's a battle of ego. It's an ego flex. It's a useless animal behavior. Don't get into a verbal combat with your woman. There's no point. If she goes up, you calm down. Okay? Mm-hmm. That environment is not conducive for communicating. Let her rant, and you keep quiet. Let her vent. Get a calm way to meet a middle ground. If she's just disappointed about something you did and she's flaring up, you calm down. Later on, explain that next time I disappoint you, this is how I prefer we communicate. Don't get into an exchange. Be the mature one. Mm. Be the mature one. It's not always the man. Sometimes it's the lady who's interested in learning. Whoever is listening to us, be the mature one. I hope both of you are determined to be mature, that you never have to bring tension in the house by quarreling. Those quarrels bring tension. They bring fear. Children are depending on you for stability. Now they can see you're also unstable. So if there is verbal exchange, physical, emotional manipulation, insults, degrading treatment, embarrassment. If a child sees one parent being embarrassed, it's very disorienting. It may not hurt them right now, because this other parent maybe has bribed them with the toys. Mm-hmm. This guy told me the lady, will come and quarrel and throw things at him and do things. But she's very nice to the children. They're playing the children. So the children may not feel, but what is it picturing? What is it painting the children about how the world operates? How to treat men? How marriage operates? It's very disorienting. If the tension going on between you and your partner is affecting, is visible to the child, consider quitting right away. The second thing, how you know how to ask yourself the question. So we said, what kind of conflict is it going? Is it affecting the children? You are likely to ask me whether there's any conflict that might happen and does not affect the children. Sometimes the reason you want to quit is because the person is financially irresponsible. Everything is harmony, you are talking well, there is no tension in the house, but you are the only one paying bills.
Yeah.
And children don't know. You get it? That one you can conciliate for a while. If it's not bringing attention, you can buy time. For now. I've known I'm not here to stay, but let me buy some time. And once you realize you're not here to stay, don't add children. Because you will have to stay and bring them up. Might have to prolong. All right? So there are tensions that don't directly affect children. You may realize that the person is unfaithful out there, and you simply stop the sexual relationship, but the tension is not transferring to the house. Although you may not be happy, but because children are young, we can still talk. Naturally, this one comes weekend, the other one go there. There's some arrangements that people can find a way, right, to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 years for children to become of age, to grow a little bit before you execute your decision. You can notice that this person is very manipulative. You know, they do things out there, they blame you, they never take. So you decide early on, and you communicate. I don't think, sometimes you don't communicate, just make your decision. Arrange and buy time. So there's some conflicts that you can actually manage to conceal. And you can see the child is not aware. Even if they have a hint, it's not that destabilizing and disturbing. All right? So there are some conflicts that couples can have, and it's not spreading the children directly. All right? Although you need to understand, the ideal environment for children to grow is when parents love each other, to model how love works, to model love and connection, to model family, to model healthy marriage. When you don't love each other and there's already a gap, a rift, a distance, it's still confusing to the children. But sometimes that's a lesser evil compared to quitting now when you're not prepared. Are we together? The third thing you shall consider. Second thing you consider is the planning. You need to, when you get out, how do I go? Who will go with the children? Where will they remain? Who will have them? Some of these people who are not even officially married, there's no divorce needed. But married people have gambled with their lives. I was not believing it. Now I've come to believe it. People have gambled with their lives. They are getting children when there's no marriage. What do you want for your life? And can you please tell women who are 28 who are cohabiting not to write to me, I'm not interested. That level of ignorance, Bramwell, I can't listen. I can't. You see, the prime of your youth is about 25 to 29. That's a prime. I mean, that's it. The girl who is the hot cake in the market. We're not saying there's an expiry date or whatever. We're just saying according to societal perception, that's the girl who can now get the best of what she wanted. You can always get the best even at 40. Oh, of course, at 35. But according to the market trends, which age have you finished studying? Which age have you become your own? Which age would be best now to focus on dating and settling? It's always in mid to late 20s. If then you can pick the best youth, and sell it on credit. Man, what are women thinking? What is happening? 27 moving in, 26 cohabiting, 28 in charge. The worst mistake ever. I think I'll produce a list of shame. I contemplated it the other day. The worst mistakes. So just a nickname for the worst dating mistakes.
Yes.
And top on the list, top of the list of infamy, is a lady at the prime of her youth deciding to move in with a man. The second one is one is sleeping with a man only to realize later he's married when she already has a child, already becomes a second, a spare wheel at the prime of your youth. Man, I don't get it. So we are saying, in case you're coming from these complications and it was not marriage, hurry up. That is a history of shame, of foolishness. Should not be getting kids when there is no permanent structure. You're even confusing the children. Who is this to them? Is that what is happening? How come? Dad, how come? How come, mom? How come this? So don't cohabit. All right? But in case you are already cohabiting, or even if you're already married, don't value the act of wedding or the marriage certificate beyond reality. You know it was there, we committed, we decided, but this person has changed, things have deteriorated so bad, we cannot stay this way anymore. So don't value the history too much over the present, of what is happening now. If your church, your people, your community, the people you're with, they don't want to hear the word divorce, forget about them. This is your life. Remember, Brahma, don't value people too much until you can't do what you need to do. If you die, they will just bury you. They can't resurrect you. If you suffer, you'll be suffering alone. If you miss out on the days of your life, on the best days that you could have impacted the world with your gift, they will not help you either. Never change too much just to please people or postpone what is necessary because you are afraid of rejection. If you are rejected by this, what did our Lord promise us? You will not have been, he said, when you're rejected in this city, brush off the dust of that city from there. I mean, I leave you, I'm gone to the next. He said you will not have finished the towns of this world. You will not have finished communities, groups. You'll find other groups to work with. Find other communities. Other people have gone through this and they'll be very happy to welcome you and journey with you. One time I was in a funeral and I noticed that we were burying a man and the widow was being consoled by another widow. It helped me think. It was not her sister who came there or her mother who sat next to her. It was another widow. Another lady who had lost her husband who sat with her. That made me think. I would think we should bring the next closest relative. The mother, the sister, the brother, maybe. No. It was another person who they have no blood, but they share a situation. She had a friend who had lost her husband like she has lost her own. That's the one they held. As if to say, I made it, you will make it. Every situation that happens in life, you meet other people who have gone through it. Don't overstay back here because, my friends are married now. If it was, you will find another community. Those who reject you never belong to where you're going. All right? So the second question is, you plan how you will survive without this person. Planning does not mean perfection. Let's emphasize this. Some people are so perfectionistic when you talk about planning. They delay, procrastinate, delay. They imagine that there will be ideal circumstances. No ideal circumstances. What is a plan, Brahma? It's a sound, solid strategy of the things you will do and the things you can do now. There's preparation, and then there is process, then there is of the future. So you prepare now. I need some money. Where will I live? Which house? Where will I go to? Number 2, process. So the need for divorce, the need for discussion. What do I need? What kind of protection? How do I anticipate this person will react? Will they react violently? Will they react by maligning my name? Talking bad things about me, spreading gossip, how can I handle that? Everything in this life requires proper planning. The reason people don't live, they don't have a solid plan. The reason they live and keep coming back, they never made a solid plan. So you make a plan and then you foresee the future you want. I want to give you the 3 steps of the future you need. The 3 processes. 1 is you quit the abusive, the painful situation. Number 2, you stabilize. Take time. When there are children, you never rush. Even if you do not come with them, even if they're somewhere, you stabilize. That can be a year or 2. Tell people who have children to stop hopping from one relationship to another. Yeah. It's not healthy. You have not investigated enough for yourself and for your children whether this will work. It's disaster to move from one to another. Even if you're in connection with that person, take your time to find your balance. You need a new equilibrium. I don't know how much to emphasize this, man. You need an equilibrium once you quit and their children. If there were no children, you would just be considering yourself and the compatibility of that person. But when there are children, primarily you need an equilibrium. You can't live in January and now in March, you're already wedding elsewhere with children. No. If there's a child, take your time. In fact, you can lock a year. Say, I need a year to balance my life. I'm open to meeting people, but those who belong to my life will know they have to wait until I'm ready. I'm trying to balance and find equilibrium and balance my life and process the emotions and plan future for my children so that now as you evaluate the next person, you evaluate them with an existing standard. If you jump from the previous relationship to the next, you're likely to go to them because they are better than where you're coming from. Let us repeat and say it's a worst mistake to move somewhere just because there is an improvement on where you left. You need a new standard to check whether this person is exactly what I need, not an improvement of who I was with. Improvements can always be there, but even if the person is better than the previous one, they still might not be good enough for you. They still might not have what you need. All right?
Yeah.
So we're saying leave, number 2, stabilize, number 3, move on. Many people took too long stabilizing. They never healed. They never sought therapy, never sought life coaching, never sought to process it. So it has been 10 years. They got stuck there and got lost track. Not everybody moves on to other relationship. We're saying moving on with your life.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to the gym and I realized when you move with the treadmill at a very high speed, you know, moderate quite some speed. After you move out of the treadmill, you feel dizzy. Your legs were used to the motion, to the motion, to the motion. That abusive relationship, that marriage made you dizzy. Where you're coming from, there's dizziness. You take time to stabilize, to find your balance, then you regain, you move on. Moving on can be now being open to other relationships, searching again. And I strongly encourage, if you really wanted love, don't give up on it. We said what's the problem with giving up? When you give up, you end up dating blindly.
Yeah.
Falling into things without thinking about them. Imagining and, you know, so 3 stages. 1, plan the exit. And consider 2 questions. Is it affecting children? Yes. If that's so and I can't solve it, I must be out. If it's not affecting children, I can buy time. If I can conceal them, I can buy time for a while. Until they have reached a point where I can explain. Number 2, can I survive on my own? How will I survive on my own? How much money? Where do I move to? Who do I live with? What did it plan? Then execute it. When you step out there, don't jump to another relationship. Take year, 6 months, context varies of course, but let it be enough time to find your balance, to rediscover yourself, to seek therapy and know who you are, to remember who you are. Sometimes it's a long journey to return to yourself. Number 3, move on. Move on. Moving on can mean, shake it off now. It can be other love elsewhere, or it can simply be minding your own business elsewhere, simply living another life, simply being on your own. It does not always have to be another love relationship, but if you really wanted love, be open for it, go for it. The last question is, how do you explain to the children? Hey, how do you explain to a 2-year-old that dad and mom will not be living together now? One strategy is get a child therapist to help you communicate. They use drawings, they use play, they introduce the world, and they tell them how it works. Get a professional who knows how to talk to children. Are we together? Yeah. Sometimes if it is impossible to wait until the child can understand, get a professional to assist you. Go out of your way and get child therapists. Search online. They are there. We have them in Kenya. We have them in your country. Or sometimes they can instruct you to do it. Can you invest in preparing the children emotionally and psychologically? Are we together? If a child is 5 years, you can talk to that one. See, they know a few parents who separated, who don't live together anymore. They know a few from their friends. Those who have started understanding the world, it will be easier to explain. All right? Yeah. The other thing is, don't expect children to feel nothing. We try to hide them from the experience. And yet that's how the world operates. Yeah. You simply want them to process it in a healthy way. They will feel disappointed. But many children will be excited. You know, children are being telling the parents to leave. There are many children who themselves, they've been asking the parents, you don't need to suffer this way, just let's leave. Let's leave. It's not always suffering, it's a relief for them. They were feeling for you. So if the child was already eager, you are the one who was taking too long to adjust. The last thing about children, don't transfer comfort to your children. Don't seek solace from your children. There are many women who got a child and things did not end up well with the baby daddy. So they transferred all that to the child. And you hear them calling the child, my prince, my everything. I asked God for a man who will always love me, and he gave me my child. Oh, you're my what? What are you saying? You're insane, my friend. Let the child be a child. They can't be your emotional support system. Yeah. Child, that's child abuse. What are you saying? Don't transfer all your needs to the child. Please go to therapy. Okay? Yeah. There's something called THARA. Don't transfer. Seek a friend whom you can cry with. Don't cling. Let the child have freedom to grow. Love them as a child, not as a man, a woman, my everything, my world. Don't do that. I have seen a lot of transference, and it interferes with your ability to discipline the child. Yeah. Can you discipline your pillar, your prince? Surely. Don't get enmeshed with the child. You need to love them, but also be independent enough to straighten them. True love means you love a person too much, you can't stand to see them self-destruct. You guide them. When they're missing the road, you guide them. You discipline. You straighten. You know, you can't do that if you are enmeshed and now it's all about them. It's all about this. If you want, I think a dog is a better emotional support. If you really wanted that kind of, you can adopt a dog. Dogs perform better in that sector. Yeah. They don't have conflict of interest. Just feed it, clean it, call the vet. So our lady complaining that her dog is useless because the previous day both her and it had been chased by another dog. She's complaining, this dog is useless. Now, taking a walk and we were both. Now when I'm running, I realize this one, when I'm getting to the house, it's already inside ahead of me. It's barking in panic as I scream. Now we all scream. But you see, this is a pet dog. This was not a guard dog. So please, get a pet dog. It's very good for emotional support. Don't transfer those emotional needs to a child just because a breakup has happened. Maintain independence as a parent. Understand the child is in a different space. Mm-hmm. They need care. They need compassion. They need guidance. They need your presence. They don't know how to love you. They just do what they can do as a child. Yeah. But they can't be the one to, no, you are wild. No, your wild is elsewhere. Get a dog. Get a teddy bear. Ladies are very funny. You know, they'll sleep where they clutch a teddy bear. I'm looking now, this thing. You know, and you know, emotional, and the thing has no emotions, but it is comforting. You know, sometimes now sleep with this one is comfortable. As long as soon as you fall asleep, it also falls away because you're not used to that. So the mistake many make of transferring those feelings to the children, they end up confusing, interfering with the parent-child relationship. Parent-child relationship does not need conflict of interest. It needs healthy connection and a guide and mentorship. You take your needs to your friends. Mm-hmm. Take your needs out there to therapy so that you balance yourself as a father. Their fathers were so enmeshed. So a guy who keeps firing house help. So many, the family lost count because he's so enmeshed with the children. He don't want to see the house help guiding the children. Mm-hmm. Brahma, as I told you, you don't hand over your child to an assistant or for all the hours that both of you and the wife are at work and the assistant is handling, and then you don't do any basic training on the guidance. Children slip away with indiscipline because the one is handling them is not allowed to correct. Mm-hmm. Teach the assistant how to correct the child. Because if the child did something bad in the morning, the child has no memory to remember in the evening that I'll come to punish all the mistakes. Now, what did you do, Junior? So you did this. The child can't remember what you're punishing about. The house help is the one who's hands-on. Teach them how to guide the child. All right. Mm-hmm. Of course, we have seen many abuse and all that, but you can install nanny. You can monitor this work. You can have nanny cameras. You can evaluate the character of the person you're dealing with. You can be hands-on, but don't let your child skip a stage of guidance just because you cannot trust the people you're getting to assist you. So we are saying the process involves tell the children what is changing. Involve experts if you have to. Don't transfer your emotional needs to the children. Find therapy and rebalance yourself so that your relationship is both loving and healthy rather than enmeshed. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I like that, Benjamin. Even though some have done that, Benjamin, but they still feel stuck. Now, why are they feeling stuck? Some of them are stuck because there is fear of emptiness. That's what is keeping them.
And that's right. There are people who are afraid of being alone and they have never known another life other than this life. Yeah. Let's repeat the following. You must never fall in love if you don't have the ability to rise from it, mm-hmm. if the situation ever requires it. Mm-hmm. Don't get into a relationship with a person or into a marriage or anything if you can't survive without that person. You can't see your life without them. Okay. The other day we told you to marry a person you don't want to live without. Mm-hmm. A person you love so much, you want to do like, you must be excited. Don't marry when you're somewhat. You go to some weddings and you pity. There's no excitement. The guy is doing it like a procedure, a formality. Should be excited. Should be excited, When my wife to tell me that day I was not looking that excited. Women always express excitement more. And I was very excited. Maybe I was poor at expressing it, but I was also thinking about logistics. The supplier for this, the other for this. Now you're being stripped even of your phone, but you want when things flow. These are being paid. These are, Sometimes men are thinking about 100 things that involve running of the thing, especially if you don't have enough capacity to hire guys to handle it.
Yeah.
If you're also the one handling, so you need to be happy, but don't marry a person because they're coming to fill a void in your life. If you marry a person because your life feels empty, you will never be able to stand up for yourself, refuse disrespect, walk away when there's abuse, because you feel like when the person leaves, they're going away with your identity. Find your identity and your happiness before you enter into a relationship, so that should you ever need to work out, you don't need that you don't feel like you're leaving a part of yourself. You know this is a necessity and I can be happy on my own. Always get into a relationship after you've reached that point where you are balanced. You just want a person who is as balanced and you make a better life. Not where you feel lonely, empty, confused. I need to be loved. Who am I? Now, please tell me you love me. Do I look? If you marry in that state, you get enmeshed, addicted, swallowed by that relationship. And it will be impossible to walk out, because you walk out to where? This is you. Your relationship is not you. Always maintaining a distinct identity. And Brahma, death can strike. Death can strike. It is not always rejection. Sometimes it's, corona or accident or things. It will be painful, but you also know you can exist still. Yes.
And sometimes, Benjamin, even though I know that I can exist or my life can continue without this kind of a person, but you realize still there is this level of happiness. Yes, I don't want that person, but the happiness you once experienced with them keeps me dragging me back to that kind of a person.
You came with them. You see, Brahma, many times we came with a person, we got together because you were happy. There was happiness and joy. But let me remind you, not everybody who is in love is happy. Now, philosophy
113.
You can be in love and you're not happy. This way. Your emotions, you crave, you dream with them, you feel your titillations of emotions, there's sexual fire, there's chemistry, you laugh, but do you follow it? They can be so stormy, you feel it, and every cell in your being wakes up. And then give you a feeling you have never felt. You begin to dream and fantasize. In fact, you begin to see butterflies all over. And it's like the trees are smiling at you. It's the world. When you're in love, we see the world differently. We blossom, we flourish, we dream. But there's no peace. You're still doubtful whether the person loves you as much. You're still not sure whether you're enough. You can sustain them for life. Whether you are really up to task for the task of being a husband. You can be in love and not in peace. Where there's no peace, there's no happiness.
Yeah.
I told you peace brings two things: pleasure and power. Always remember that. I want you to safeguard your peace. You're assured. You know it's the right decision when it's calm all around it. So many people who want to go back to those experiences, they married because of love when there was no peace, when there was no happiness, when there was no sustainability, when there were nagging doubts and troubling questions that they trumped down because for the first time they have felt love. So you're trying to remember what was happening that time. In reality, it was the surface. Underneath, I told you storms happen on the surface of the sea. Underneath is a very different kind of business going on. The wind is blowing the surface of the water, but underneath, there's a lot of life going on. Sometimes the romance you are feeling is on the surface. Underneath, it's not affected. The connection is not there. The other things. So I have met disastrous marriages that people entered that way. When they felt so much love and for the person, romance, chemistry, the passion, the emotions, the crush, the sexual fire is up there. But when you're alone, you're wondering, you are not settled. Because there are things you see and you hate to give up because of this feeling. There are things you see, the person seems like sometimes they're not so much into you. Sometimes like if they're another person. Sometimes like you're not sure whether you're up to the test. Some questions that are troubling, but the passion, the fire is still there. You're supposed to have both emotional connection and peace inside of you about the person. Sometimes that trouble is intuition warning you of things that are not yet visible. Sometimes you have seen the tip of the iceberg, but you're assuming, I hope it's not big underneath. Only a tip. So to say, don't try to recapture experiences in the past. Even the presence, the reality has since dawned, changed. Deal with the reality. Don't be caught by the past.
Right. Don't be caught by the past, no matter how beautiful it was. Deal with the reality. And that is a good point to end this conversation. Thank you guys for watching the Benjamin Zulu Show.